Konnor Griffin looks like he could be baseball's next #1 overall prospect. When the Pirates snagged him 9th overall in the 2024 draft, his upside was far from a question. A 6'4", 215-pound 18-year-old who turns in plus run times and was a legitimate prospect on the mound as well was easy to dream on. Concern was around the hit tool. He turned in some mixed results over the summer circuit with a swing that lacked some rhythm and fluidity. He often looked rushed in the box, fighting his mechanics, but relying on his athleticism to get by. Now, Griffin is starting to show the promise of being one of the top prospects in all of baseball, thanks in large part to the way that he has adjusted his swing since going pro. Before Griffin played his first professional baseball game, he was already reworking his swing and adding strength. He spent the 2024 offseason adjusting his setup, engaging his lower half much more effectively in his load, while putting on about 15 more pounds of lean muscle. Now starting slightly wider with his hands a bit higher, Griffin's ability to coil into his backside and generate hip-shoulder separation is night and day from before. His load previously was more of a tall and fall situation, meaning little tension was being created with a heavy move onto the front foot and his hands crowded with nowhere to go other than a steep angle into the zone. Griffin starting his load earlier helps him coil into that backside in a slow and controlled manner, getting him to his launch position earlier with the focus on using the ground properly to generate more power. In addition to looking far less rushed, Griffin's body is in a better spot to be able to control the barrel and turn it further behind him, getting himself on plane earlier with a much wider margin for contact. Pair a wider contact window with a freak athlete actually using his lower half effectively in his swing, and you have a potential rocket ship. Beyond how impressive it is for Griffin to implement these changes so effectively in his first pro season, you rarely see a high first-round pick so willing to tinker with his mechanics prior to facing any adversity professionally, which is a testament to the work ethic and makeup of Griffin. Starting with the surface level stats, Griffin has been a force to be reckoned with, seemingly getting stronger with each game he adds under his belt. Between 50 low A games and 11 high A games, Griffin has hit to a 341, 404, 545 slash line with 11 home runs, 28 extra base hits, and 33 stolen bases while only striking out 21% of the time. The underlying data may be even more impressive. His 90th percentile exit velocity of 108.5 miles per hour is one of the best figures in the minor leagues for a teenage prospect, with a staggering hard hit rate north of 50%. For reference, the average hard hit rate in the Florida State League is roughly 34% in 2025. If you were looking at the contact rates and swing decisions from this year, you'd never know that Griffin had hit tool concerns heading into his pro debut. His in-zone contact rate is an above average 84%, while the overall contact rate sits at 75%. Griffin's overall chase rate of 23% is good for the lower levels, and he has cut into that number as the season has progressed. When Griffin was drafted, there was no doubting that he had the ability to stick at shortstop, but with his size and gazelle-like strides, I like the fit of him in center field best long term. He's played both positions in the early going, but the majority of his starts have been at shortstop, where he's looked even more polished than anticipated. A quick first step is really standing out with him, with soft hands and, of course, an easy plus arm. You almost forget he's 6'4", 225 pounds now with how well he moves laterally, and the instincts and internal clock are already there. Now, I still love Griffin in center field as well. He chews up so much ground so easily, and the jumps are already decent out there with the athleticism to close plays out. What's somewhat crazy is that Griffin looks so good so quickly in all facets of his game that the Pirates are likely forced to already think about how he fits into the MLB equation, as a 2026 ETA now doesn't sound too far-fetched. Of course, when you look at the MLB landscape in Pittsburgh, the only spot that seems to be solidified moving forward is center field with O'Neal Cruz. Griffin checked in at number 18 overall on our top 100 update at the beginning of June, and he has proceeded to hit 409, 481, 621 in 15 games since then, with the majority of those games being at high A. In the early going of the season, Griffin was swinging and missing a little bit more at secondaries, which is what kept him out of the top 10, but it didn't take very long for him to put that behind him. In his first 30 games of the season, Griffin hit just 190 against secondaries with a 57% contact rate. In the 31 games since, the newly turned 19-year-old is hitting 393 with a contact rate of 72% against non-fastballs. It's becoming increasingly difficult to poke a hole in Griffin's game now that the hit tool looks like it could be reasonably average at the highest level. With his size, power, athleticism, makeup, improved hitting ability, and defensive value at multiple premium positions, the comparisons to the player he can become are so unfair to him that I'm going to keep them to myself until he's baseball's top overall prospect.